One day I will remember to hit the unmute button and once I once I go over to showing me on camera. Hello everybody. I'm gonna try to catch up with chat, but today we're gonna be going through the Justice League Secret Origins novelization. It's nowhere near as thick as some of the last couple books that we've done. If I did not count the chapters, but it's much bigger print and much fewer pages. 9 chapters. So this should be a pretty quick and easy read over the next couple weeks. It might only even take us like 2 or 3 weeks. Whereas the last book took us months. But yeah, let me catch up with the chat real fast, and then we can hop into that and everything, and start talking about the book. Let's see. I'm seeing a hello from Ahmed Hassan. Hello, right back at you. Let's see. Someone talk about being on Twitch and YouTube. Yes, we are on Twitch. Hey, if you're in the stream right now, go ahead, drop a like on the stream. It's helpful to getting us kind of pushed to the algorithm a little bit more, and I would greatly appreciate it after seeing what our YouTube check is gonna be this month. Let's see. Let's see. People saying they can't hear me, but now you can, right? Do not read future state. I mean, people can read whatever they want. I ain't gonna sweat it, and I don't think you should sweat what people are gonna do either. Oh my god. Every time I try to scroll back up to catch up with things, it's just like, no. Twitch is the best is here. Hey, back to you. Let's see. You know what? Let me look at the chat from my phone, because the Streamlabs thing kind of really likes to just keep going. Let's see. And it's very hard to keep up as a result. Let's see. Just claim you were goofing on Ted. Did Ted have an audio situation recently as well? Hello back to you in Brazil, Nicholas. Glad to have you around. Hello back to you from America, man. I think I said hello to you twice now. 3 times if we count while my mic was muted. Ooh, bread. I want some bread. Send me, Wowie. I'm gonna hop on Discord and send you my address so you can just send me bread. I'm supposed to be doing some very important work. But you're being a very good distraction in a very good way. I feel you. I'm supposed to be doing some important work too, but you know, this was on the schedule, so I figured let's fucking go. Hello, back to you, Uranium Deer. Hello, Josiah. It's nice to have you here. Let's see. I have a question. In the second episode of Justice League Secret Origins Part 2, John Jones says that the astronauts were able to release the alien invaders while he was in a hibernation cycle. So how come he isn't in a hibernation cycle ever again during JL and JLU? I mean, well, JL and JLU only take place over the course of like 4 or 5 years, roundabout. So maybe he doesn't have to hibernate that frequently, right? Like, I mean, bears hibernate in the winter, but that doesn't mean Martians hibernate on a yearly basis, based on an Earth calendar. We don't know what their culture's like. Maddie with the mustache looks like an uncle of mine. Well, you have a very attractive uncle. Let's to your uncle. Let's see. So, Maddie, do you think that Darkseid's Omega beams can pierce Infimetal because they were looking to introduce that into DC Dark Multiverse? You know what? I read a quote once, and I wish I could remember where I heard it from. But it was a conversation between 2 people, and the person was recalling it. And he said that, he was a writer, and he was talking to somebody about some writer's block that he was having. And the person just said back to them, how do you kill a vampire? And the writer said, well, you know, there's the garlic, there's the steaks, there's this, there's that, there's the other, the sunlight. And the person who asked the question responded, wrong answer. You kill a vampire however you want to kill a vampire. They're fictional. So, as far as the omega beams and nth metal, you know, it's fictional. If they want to make that happen, then so be it. You know, you can make made up things do whatever you want them to do. You guys stream at the perfect time because I'm cleaning my house in the time you stream. I need to clean my house too. Who loves the new Red X? I don't know. I don't know anything about him. I'm so behind on comics. Yesterday he had to restart the stream a few times. We could hear background music, but the mic wasn't working. Oh no. Oh no. Maddie, there's 2 music tracks going at once. Mute the background music source. Is there? Hold on. Let me see. BG music. Let's see if we can do it. How do I just mute the source? That's an undo unmute button. But that's about my mic. Why is it on the background music source? I don't know. I have one background music and I can click to mute it. And I feel like that's gonna mute the whole thing. Click the little eyeball. Hold on. So click that. Okay, is that better? Is that better, Jimbo? By the way, if you feel like you're gonna miss streams at some point, and since you know these are kind of episodic, we're going through you know, books on multiple days and everything. Go over to the Pod Tower and subscribe over there because all of our stream archives are going up over there. So if you're catching this and then you missed the next Justice League Secret Origins, boom, you can get in there and watch it anyway. Okay. Let's see. What are you going to do after you have finished the DCAU time? The DCAU timeline will never be finished. Let's see. I've literally been working on it for like 8 years. It'll never be finished. Have you seen the new look for Jared Leto's Joker? Do you love it or do you hate it? I'm indifferent. I personally, I don't care about anything to do with Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, Jared Leto Joker looks better now that he doesn't have the tattoos all over him, but like the images just seem like they're just doing more of the Snyder's dark and edgy thing, and like, you know, whatever. If that's what some people like, that's what some people like, but it's not what I want. So you know, I'm not putting much worry into it. I understand asking me the question, you know, since this is kind of what we do as a job, but you know, I do not care. Let's see. It's also why hyper-focusing on battle feats is kind of stupid. A character is only as powerful as that story needs them to be, and so long as they aren't distractingly warped down... Yes, exactly. I assume that's back to the vampire situation. Oh, hey. Thank you for following. Germotod13. Let's see. Oh, James was hearing his own background music. Turn it back on. Okay. There we go. So it wasn't anything on my end. It was James's end. There we go. Let's see. Have I done Super Sons comic yet? I've read one of them, and that was fun. If you're asking if that's something we've done on stream, no, because you know the majority of our streams are just DCAU focused. I mean, screw the Snyderverse. Maybe, I mean, you know, I understand people coming from that way as well. I definitely do not like it. I do not like to spend more time fixated on it than need be. But personally speaking, you know, like when I dislike something, I'm not gonna fault someone else for liking it. You know, my opinion is my opinion, and you don't gotta have my opinion. I don't gotta have your opinion. You know, this is just part of you know, living different lives is people experience media in different ways, and that's something that's kind of been coming up recently with how much I was not into the to Ben 10 when I just finished the original series recently. But that's neither here nor there. We have a book. We have a book to get into. A book by Michael Teitelbaum. We've read a couple of these before, not too recently. Michael Teitelbaum really kind of takes the feel of the Justice League show and then kind of dumbs it down a little bit for kids. So I'm sure there's going to be some stuff in here that's kind of silly. But before we do that, I've got a big question I need to ask y'all. Some of y'all have been talking about how my background is just kind of bland and boring. And in this book, there is a Superman poster. So now the question is, do I put this Superman poster up behind me right here, right now on stream, or do I leave it intact with the book to keep it in mint condition? I personally feel like I'm the kind of person who likes to keep things in mint condition, but if the chat's in agreement that it'd be a fun, silly thing to do, then we can go for it. Let me know. I'm seeing a yes, do it from one person. Is anybody else invested in this? Does anybody else care if I put it up? If it's only gonna be one person, I'm getting 2 yeses. I'm getting an oh, that's silly. That's not a yes or a no, Wowie. I have thumbtacks right here. Okay, there we go. That's 3 yeses. We've got 20 people in the chat. I feel like there should be more yeses or nos. I'm getting another do it. All right. I guess it's time to put this up. Collect all 4 posters to assemble the entire Justice League. Look for new posters in the paperback edition of the Justice League books. All right, so let's see. I'm trying to think where on my wall to put it. Maybe just over that mirror that's in the background. That way it's off to the side of my head. Keep it in the book. That could be worth money. I doubt it. I doubt it'll be worth money. I'm seeing more do it. Josiah said do it. All right, y'all. We are putting Superman on the wall. There's definitely like a dotted line to kind of tear across, but I feel like it's been in this book for so long that the dotted line wants to fight me. And let me tell you, I'm not a good fighter. Maddie versus dotted line. The dotted line could very much win. Nope. I'm getting it. And boom, we got it. All right, let's put this bad boy on the wall. What's the book about? It's literally a novelization of the first 3 episodes of Justice League. All right, let's see. I think maybe 1 thumbtack will be fine. You know, nothing too fancy. Let's go. Why did I try to step on that crate as if I'm not already tall? I could have just fallen and busted my ass in front of all of you, live on YouTube. You know what? We probably need another tack down below. Oh, that looks so small. You can't even see it. It's just so tiny. There we go. Let's get the door out of the way. There we go. We have a tiny Superman over here. It's the smallest Superman I have ever seen. Let's see, am I gonna see The Flash season 7? I haven't seen the first 6 seasons of The Flash, if I'm being honest. All right, now that we have Superman, a tiny Superman. I wish I could show y'all my wall right here. I have like all of my action figures and everything up right here in front of me. It's incredibly colorful and nice to look at. But behind me is just He's so tiny. I could have just put like a piece of paper up there and called it a day. All right. Ugh. Okay, so I have the actual book right here with me. But what is my favorite DC relationship? You know what? I'm gonna go with the Hawk Girl and Jon Stewart relationship. That's it. But what I was saying, I have the book right here with me, but as you'll see when I flip on over, ba-doom! I got a Kindle Unlimited subscription trial. Specifically because I didn't want to scan the book and it was available for free. So it's gonna make it a lot easier to read. Oh, hold on. Was that another new follow? Palps has followed on Twitch. Hey, thanks for that. Once again, hey, if you're in the YouTube chat, go ahead, hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm, you know, all that stuff. And if you haven't subscribed to the Pod Tower yet, where we're archiving all of our streams, then go ahead, subscribe over there. So, Justice League, Secret Origins, written by Michael Teitelbaum, novelization by Michael Teitelbaum, excuse me, based on the teleplay Secret Origins by Rich Fogel. There's a difference between written by and novelization by. He didn't make this story. He's just taking someone else's. Let's see. Oh, there's some dedications here. Are there other DCAU books you haven't read yet? Oh yeah, there's tons of DCAU books that I haven't read. And you know, enough to have this series going on probably for forever. Let's see. For my marble-mouthed childhood friend Lawrence Sokolsky, who came running home from the candy store one Saturday afternoon long ago, screaming about a new comic book called Justice Sleek America. I've been a JLA fan ever since. Just a Sleek America. Special thanks to Rich Fogel for his terrific story, Bruce Timm and the folks at Warner Bros. Animation for their great show, Marissa Walsh of Random House for her input, and Charlie Kochman of DC Comics for his insight and guidance as keeper of the characters. Michael Teitelbaum. Let's see. Oh wait, did someone? No, I already answered that one. Who do you think has the most chance of death in the Suicide Squad 2021? You know, I don't even remember the full cast. But maybe the most expensive actor. Well, okay. That's not what I'm gonna read. Let's see. Is this on screen? Is this the book I just had in my hands? Yes, they are the same book. They are both Secret Origins. Hit the like button or you'll get locked up in James' basement. That's true. That's how I ended up there. Prologue. Ed Rice and J. Allen Carter were not the first Earth astronauts to explore Mars. They were simply the latest. Their mission, search for water, the foundation of life throughout the solar system, in the hopes of discovering evidence of intelligent beings somewhere in the planet's history. Swirling winds skated across the surface of the red planet, whipping ancient dust and soil into tiny crimson tornadoes. Deep in the Mariner Valley, named for the first Earth spacecraft to visit the nearby world, about 200 yards from their ship, the two explorers bounded easily across the vast expanse, their weight only a third of what it was back home. Shoving a metal probe into the dirt, Ed Rice adjusted its setting as best he could while wearing the thick gloves attached to the sleeves of his airtight spacesuit. Crackling static filled his ears as he studied the readings on the probe. "Would you look at that, Rice?" a voice said through the radio comlink in his helmet. "A little slice of heaven." Glancing over his shoulder, Rice saw his partner taking in the scenery. His arms were open wide, a huge grin visible through his glass-faced shield. Yeah, sure, Carter, Rice replied. If your idea of heaven is a barren, lifeless rock. Ed Rice was a scientist, always had been. If humans had never achieved space travel, he would have been satisfied to do his research on Earth. But since this was the cutting edge of scientific inquiry, Mars was where he had to be, despite his impatience with the long flights and somewhat clumsy working conditions. That's my partner, Carter said, laughing, as he turned to the task of setting up his own probe. You have the soul of a poet. Alan Carter, on the other hand, was an adventurer. If he hadn't qualified for the space program, he'd be in a submarine on the bottom of the ocean or climbing to the peak of Everest. A solid scientist, Carter's first love was exploration. Carter, we didn't come for the view, Rice pointed out. Our mission here is purely scientific. Are you getting any readings? No, Carter replied, checking the gauges on his probe. No detectable levels of H2O. Looking a short distance away, Carter caught a glimpse of sunlight glinting off a small rock formation. Hold on, he called into the comlink. I may have something. Bounding toward the formation, enjoying each reduced gravity leap, Carter squinted at the gleaming object protruding from the oxidized red soil. What do you see? Rice asked, pulling his probe from the ground. Could be an ice crystal, Carter explained, executing a perfect two-footed landing right in front of the outcropping. Kneeling beside the shining white object embedded in the rocks, Carter pulled his geologist's pick from its loop on his spacesuit. Slowly, he chipped away the stone from around the object, prying it free with the pick. Carter turned the pointed melon-sized formation over in his gloved hands. No, he reported. It's not ice. Looks almost organic. Bone fragment. Maybe a skull. A rumbling suddenly shook the astronauts where they stood. Beginning as a deep, dull sound, the vibrations grew in intensity, as if something beneath the surface of the planet were trying to get out. Within seconds, the ground under Carter's feet split open, the fissures spreading quickly. Carter, look out! Rice shouted. His partner dropped the object in his hands and turned to flee. What's going on? Carter yelled back, leaping into the air as the solid footing underneath him cracked like thin ice, spiderwebbing in all directions. Staying just in front of the growing chasm, Carter bounded across the dusty surface, the ground vanishing behind him. Hurry! Rice cried, watching as the lengthening crack seemed to chase Carter, who struggled to remain on solid ground. Crack! Only several yards away from Rice, Carter's foot stretched out for yet another piece of ground, but found only air. With the Martian soil folding away beneath him, Carter plummeted into the ever-widening abyss. Carter! Rice shouted, turning to run from the onrushing destruction, now only a few feet away. Are you all right? Do you read me? Repeat. Do you read me? Then, just as quickly and inexplicably as it had begun, the crumbling and cracking stopped. Crimson dust settled silently over the gaping crevasse and its surrounding rubble. Rice dropped to his knees and peered over the edge of the immense opening into infinite darkness. He shouted once more, Carter! Already hundreds of yards beneath the surface, Carter was buffeted by rocks and dust, sunlight fading as he plummeted toward the center of the red planet. Dizziness washed over Carter as he reached for a handhold, an outcropping, anything to stop his seemingly endless descent. He grabbed only dust. Finally, Carter landed, slamming into the rough, rocky bottom of the pit. He was bruised, but not seriously injured. Despite the weaker gravity, Carter struggled painfully to his feet, wincing and groaning with the effort. Gazing through his cracked faceplate, he could make out only vague shapes. Reaching up, he flipped on his helmet light. Its powerful beam blazed to life, illuminating the walls of an underground cavern. Attempting to activate his comlink, Carter spoke in a harsh, raspy voice. I'm okay, Ed, he announced. Ed? Come in, Ed! Static. then silence. Realizing he was on his own, Carter turned his head. The light beam from his helmet played across the dark gray chamber, revealing a startling discovery. This chamber appears to be man-made, or maybe, I should say, Martian-made, he thought, squinting up at what looked like a door decorated with ornate carvings and strange writing. In any case, this is no natural cavern. The 30-foot high door appeared to be the only way in or out of this tomb-like enclosure. Carter grasped a round metallic seal in its center and pulled the smooth disc. There's a period at the end of that. In case you guys don't know, that means to stop the sentence. Carter grasped a round metallic seal in its center and pulled. The smooth disc refused to budge. He tried a different grip, but his fingers fumbled helplessly against the closure, unable to gain any leverage. Then he remembered his pick. Reaching around to the loop on his spacesuit, Carter discovered his tool was no longer dangling in its usual spot. A quick glance around revealed it lying on the floor of the chamber. Retrieving the pick, Carter worked the edge of its sharp blade behind the door's seal, rocking the curved metal tool until it slipped snugly under the rim of the solid disc. Bracing himself as best as he could in the reduced gravity, Carter yanked on the pick again and again. The seal broke loose, gradually at first, then flying from the door, sending him reeling onto his back. Thick black smoke poured from the hole where the seal had been. Struggling to his feet, Carter glanced up to see a thin beam of bright light traveling along what? Traveling along the carvings on the door. It rose like liquid in a glass tube, pulsating as the smoke around him grew more and more dense. Backing away, Carter shielded his eyes. The entire door glowed, shaking and throbbing, the intense energy behind it desperate for release. Thoom! Exploding from its housing, the massive door slammed into Carter, driving him back into the far wall of the cavern. The last thing he remembered seeing before losing consciousness were swirling patches of red, black, and gray, and the faint glow of two dull orange eyes. All right, so usually when we get to the end of a chapter or a prologue, as it may be, we hop over here to take some notes. That way we have stuff prepared for, a will it canon, a timeline, maybe even the upcoming Watchtower Database website, if that were to ever end up getting off the floor. So right now we don't have a lot of notes, but we do have a couple characters. We have Ed Rice and J. Allen Carter. We're both there. Martians, at the very least. I don't know what Martian, but Martians are mentioned, so I'll put them as characters. Right? Obviously the Martian that's going to be important to our story is going to end up being John Jones. But he wasn't mentioned here, just Martians in general, so we'll pop that in there. Let's see, we have a couple locations, not a lot. Oh, do I not have a locations? Interesting. Let me add a locations column in here. Locations, and then one more column for items, I think is how we've been saying it. Like stuff that's important that you might want to be like, oh, this thing showed up in all of these episodes or whatever. So locations, we got Mars. Mars is a location, and we have the Mariner Valley, and Earth is mentioned. And then as far as timeline stuff goes, Let's see. They say the Mariner Valley was named for the first Earth spacecraft to visit the nearby world. Mariner Valley named after real world events. So we'll put that there, and we can say that that happened in this world. And for items, let's put the Mariner spacecraft. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, I think that's everything. No, wait, hold on. That's not everything from the prologue. There was a mention of Everest, I believe. Where was that? Yes, Everest. Peak of Everest. Okay, so that will be the last of the Mohicans. Or was that a book or a movie? Probably a movie based on a book, if I'm remembering correctly. But let's see. What do we got? What do we got going on in the chat? Oh, hey, Andrew. Nice to have you here. Let's see. I do not like Flash Season 7, CW. Female versions of rogues don't bother me at all. I mean, it's not the comic book world. It's an alternate universe, and they can do whatever they want to do with it. Like, that's not a reason to dislike it. Like, if the story's good, I don't see why that matters. Let's see, is anyone planning on watching Superman and Lois? One day, eventually, once they catch up on the rest of the Arrowverse, but that day is very far in the future, I feel like. Let's see. Green Martians versus White Martians, who wins? Well, you know, if my knowledge of the DC universe is anything to go off of, it seems like the White Martians kind of won that one. Am I excited for Stargirl Season 2? I'm definitely interested in it. I enjoyed the first season. I don't think Sissy really enjoyed it as much as I did. And like, you know, since we watch TV together, it's nice to try to watch things that both of us are going to be interested in. But you know, I personally looking forward to it. So long as like they don't take the budget down, you know, to be a typical CW show now. Are you and your fiance gonna do more videos like that last one? It was hilarious. We do have a DCEU thing coming up. We've been drunkenly going through the DCEU movies in order to do like a little commentary situation on them. And I think the original idea was that they were each gonna get their own commentary video as like a week's worth of content going into the release of the Snyder Cut. But some of them we've got less to talk about than others, because some of the more recent ones are kind of good. Surprise. So I think we're just gonna end up making it all one video. But yes, there will be more drunk Maddie and Sissy content to go around. All right, chapter 1. Now that we're out of the prologue, right? Is that yes? Chapter 1. How long are these chapters? I'm just kind of curious. Dang, that's actually a decent amount of pages for a chapter. That's page 9 to page 29. All right, 20-page chapter. I might have to like stop in the middle of the chapter to put notes down just so I don't forget things. But you know, it is what it is. 2 years later, the sprawling complex of the Wayne Tech radar substation in Metropolis covered acres of land on the outskirts of town. Dominated by the enormous radar dish in the center of the complex, the facility contained a low building attached to the dish's support platform. Inside were offices and control rooms, mainframe computers, and the most sophisticated radar and satellite guidance technology available. Surrounded by a chain-link fence topped with razor-sharp curls of barbed wire, the substation was one of the crown jewels in Bruce Wayne's high-tech industrial empire. But for the past several months, Bruce had noticed security breaches in the deep space radar monitoring network. Oh my god, my phone just keeps going on. Can y'all not have a group chat that I'm in while I'm doing things? Mute that for the next hour. There we go. Probably what I should have done beforehand. Let's see. Wayne Enterprises operated this facility for the federal government. Bruce knew that if he went through official channels, the investigation of these breaches would inevitably get bogged down for months in governmental red tape. And so, the owner and CEO of Wayne Enterprises decided to investigate the situation himself. But not as Bruce Wayne. A caped figure dashed silently across the roof of the low office building, glancing furtively left, then right, certain he was unseen. Batman firmly grasped a grill covering an open duct. Yanking it free, he slipped like a shadow into the building. Swinging acrobatically, then landing noiselessly on a rafter above the complex's main control room, Batman crouched in the darkness, peering down at the 4 people in the room below. The Wayne Tech technicians, clad in their long white lab coats, checked monitors took readings, and prepared to close shop for another day. A tall, thin tech with floppy blonde hair and large round glasses headed up a metal staircase leading to the exit. "Okay, I'm out of here," the skinny tech said, pausing at the top of the stairs. "Another week in the bag. Remember, Al, Lee, Cynthia, barbecue at my place Saturday night. You're all invited. Venus is rising early, and you know what that means. A wild time is guaranteed for all." His fellow technicians turned to the young man, broad smiles plastered on their faces. "I'm there, Howie," replied Al, a heavy-set bald man, the senior member of the group. "Wouldn't miss it." "Sounds great," added Cynthia, a large, middle-aged woman, peering over the top of her reading glasses. "Thanks," chimed in Lee, a thin, dark-haired tech, the youngest of the group. "See you then." Stopping at the exit, Howie turned back to face his colleagues. "You guys are party animals," he snorted, giggling, then winking and flashing the thumbs up sign. "Good night." As the door closed behind Howie, the 3 remaining technicians glanced at one another in silent relief, the frozen smiles instantly vanishing from their faces. Batman gazed down from above, watching intently as Al stood and spoke to the others. "He chalt id varid go," he shrieked in a shrill, inhuman voice, nodding toward the exit. Then, turning to Lee, he added, "Gi na krotian tot." The skinny young man nodded, then walked quickly to a bank of large mainframe consoles lining the back wall. Batman's mind raced. He'd been all over the world, heard hundreds of languages, but this speech was completely foreign to him. Shifting his position to get a better view, Batman wondered why this crew would suddenly stop speaking English when Howie left the room. Grasping an enormous console towering 10 feet in the air, Lee easily lifted the weighty piece of equipment, moving it aside as if it were an empty cardboard box. Cynthia strode to the space vacated by the console, reached up with her right hand, and punched a hole in the thick stone wall. Shoving her arm into the hole, she lifted an odd-looking piece of technology about the size of a large roasting pan, but irregularly shaped, covered with swirling patches of red, black, and gray circuitry. "Rig ira chai!" she announced, carefully cradling the device in her arms. Stepping toward the wall, Lee placed the console back in the spot from which he had taken it. He then followed the others through a side door leading out onto the support platform that held the massive radar dish in place. Scowling, Batman climbed back up through the rafters, slipping out onto the roof. The support platform consisted of 4 long, narrow metal walkways radiating out from the central radar dish, then curving down to the ground like the long steel legs of a giant spider. Reaching the radar dish, the technicians placed the device they had carried onto the dish's transmitter. Appearing to move under its own powers, the apparatus split into 4 equal sections, then slithered, as if alive, into 4 openings in the transmitter, vanishing into the depths of the complex radar tracking system. Satisfied, the 3 colleagues turned to leave. I doubt that modification... Oh, hold on. That's a Batman voice. I doubt that modification's legal. A deep, firm voice said from behind them. Swinging around in shock, they spotted Batman, poised at the end of the dish's platform. Moving with lightning speed before the 3 techs could react, Batman sent a rope tether speeding through the air. Finding its target, the tether bound Al and Lee together as 2 heavy steel balls attached to each end of the rope spun around and around, faster and faster, tightly securing the 2 men. Shriek! They both screeched, releasing high-pitched, unearthly cries. Should have stuck to your desk jobs, Batman announced, dashing towards Cynthia, who stood her ground, her face angry and defiant. Let me, I feel like there's a lot of things to take notes on there, so let me go ahead and start popping that and see what's good in the chat. Let's see. Hey, just joined the stream. Well, hey, Delivery Blaze, thank you for joining. For those of you who haven't been here while I was saying it, go ahead, hit that like button. Just go ahead and do it. It ain't gonna cost you a single penny. So let's see. We got Bruce Wayne / Batman as one of the characters, and then we had all of those techs. Let's see. Al, Lee, Cynthia, and Howie. So I think it said Al, Lee, and Cynthia were the fakes. So let's put them as Invader. There. Cynthia, Invader. And then Howie. We got a couple locations mentioned already. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, Ultimate Spider-Man, what's up with you? We just, we're reading a book. Let's see. Yeah, from what I understand, the Superman and Lois show is supposed to be the same continuity as Supergirl, which I believe after Crisis on Infinite Earths is now the same continuity as the rest of the Arrowverse, right? Didn't they kind of decide that all those Earths are now the same Earth now? I'm kind of bummed that they didn't just go all in and say that like literally all of the shows happen on the same Earth. Like I get like keeping, you know, multiple Earths still available and stuff, just from a logistic standpoint of not bogging each other down with whatever continuity. But like, I don't know, I feel like it would make sense to have the current shows kind of all be wrapped in together. Maybe that's just me. So we got, let's see, we got Wayne Tech, we got Metropolis. We got Wayne Enterprises. Is that... We got Venus was mentioned. I think that's all of the places right now. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's all the places right now. Then we got a couple little timeline clues here and there. Let's see. I remember that episode when Batman tried to throw a batarang at her head, but then it deflected overhead like she hadn't impenetrable skin. I'm seeing a couple redacted messages, but that's okay. I'll just assume that you guys said a thing that might have ended up being answered. Let's see. I watched these 3 episodes literally 100 times when I was a kid. Yo, this intro was like a huge deal to me when I was a wee lad. So yeah, I watched it a lot as well. So page 9 says this is 2 years after the prologue. I feel like I remember that being like a bigger span of time in the episode, but maybe I'm wrong. And then it said, let's see, for the past several months, Bruce had noticed security breaches in the Deep Space Radar Monitoring Network. For the past several months, Bruce had been or had noticed security breaches. That's page 9 and 10. And then, let's see. Barbecue at Howie's place on Saturday night. Which means that this isn't Saturday. And that is page 11. And I think that's all of the notes so far for this chapter. So let me just make sure I'm caught up with the chat. It was 2 years in episode 2. Okay, it's been a couple minutes since I've watched it, but for some reason I was misremembering it as 5. But 2 years probably makes more sense. Let's see, where was I? At the top, I do believe. Reaching out to grab Cynthia, Batman recoiled as the female tech swiped at him with surprising speed and power. Dodging the swift, backhanded blow, Batman countered with a powerful punch of his own. Exhibiting extraordinary strength, Cynthia caught Batman's hand mid-blow, then lifted him by the wrist, tossing him aside like a rag doll. Reacting instinctively, Batman shifted his weight in midair, whipped his feet around, and landed back on the narrow steel platform in time to see Al and Lee undergo a strange transformation. Firmly bound by the tether, the two techs reshaped their bodies, sending weight from their midsections up toward their heads, causing the ropes that had held them to slip to the ground. Stepping free of the restraints, Al and Lee redistributed their weight again, resuming their normal human forms. Garaim! Al shrieked, pointing at Batman. Enraged, Cynthia charged at the Dark Knight, who leapt backward in the air while pulling a batarang from his utility belt. Still in the air, Batman tossed the bat-shaped weapon down toward Cynthia. His eyes widened in disbelief as the spinning batarang struck her full force in the forehead, then bounced away harmlessly. Landing on the edge of the platform, Batman had hardly regained his balance when Lee charged furiously toward him like an enraged rhino. Crashing into the Dark Knight, Lee sent him flying off the thin platform, tumbling toward the ground some 200 yards below. Focusing with meditative calmness, Batman fired a grappling line from his utility belt, the weighted hook at the end catching on the lip of the platform. Pulling himself back up, he swung onto the deck, poised for the next onslaught. A pair of bright red boots dropped suddenly into view, halting in midair in front of Batman's face. "Need a hand?" asked a familiar voice. I don't. How do you do like a recognizably Superman voice? "Need a hand?" I don't. I feel like it's got to come from the chest. But it's also a very, very vanilla voice. Oh wow, canon names for the scientists. Yeah. I was wondering if those were in the episode or not. I guess the answer is they were not. Let's see. Until I stumbled upon a Watchtower database, I mistakenly remembered the alien invaders as being the DCAU's White Martians. I mean, they're definitely they're implied to, at the very least, be a stand-in for those. Kronk voice. Was that a Kronk voice?
Need a hand? How do you do a Patrick Warburton?
I don't. Patrick Warburton definitely is from the chest as well. But one's definitely a bit sillier than the other.
Thanks,
Batman replied, his eyes locked on his three motionless adversaries.
But I can handle this.
Superman glided gently to the platform, landing next to his longtime friend and ally. The two great heroes had fought many battles together, engaging enemies of all kinds, taking on creatures from many worlds. On patrol around Metropolis, Superman had spotted this scuffle and figured he'd drop by to lend a hand. "Garay!" shouted Al, catching sight of the Man of Steel. Then the three techs turned and ran, with Batman racing after them.
They don't look so tough,
said the Man of Steel, smiling.
Two overweight middle-aged scientists and a skinny kid shouldn't pose much of a problem for the Dark Knight of Gotham.
That is not a very good Superman voice. Redistribute your wealth instead. I assume that's for Batman because I have 0 wealth to redistribute. Let's see. Gliding into the air, preparing to leave, Superman was suddenly struck by a searing pain in his head. Clutching his temples with both hands, he jerked, struggling to remain airborne. A flood of vague, distorted images filled his mind, a mental assault from which he had no defense. "Yeah!" Superman cried out, unable to stop the pictures bombarding his brain. At first unclear, several scenes came into momentarily sharp focus, burning deep into his consciousness. The expansive crimson plains of Mars, a thriving city on the red planet, filled with buildings, flying vehicles, and a bustling population of millions. That same Martian city, under attack, blaster fire destroying tall buildings, a bizarre creature, blob-like with swirling colors, dancing inside an ever-changing skin, its whipping tentacles crackling with energy, a flaming asteroid streaking across the night sky over a desert on Earth, a pair of glowing orange eyes beaming from a shadowy face. All of these images forced their way into his mind within the span of seconds. All of a sudden, the Flash popped out of a portal and started yelling, "Lois is the key!" Mini Adventures, otherwise known as 3. They had a couple in the tie-in comics, too. Overcome and unstable to find his equilibrium, Superman crashed. I've got hair in my mouth from yelling. Blech. Overcome and unable to find his equilibrium, Superman crashed onto the platform in a twisted, writhing heap. I almost read that as withering. Hearing his friends scream, then feeling the steel platform shake from the impact of Superman's body, Batman stopped short, giving up his chase. "Superman!" he cried, turning and racing back to his fallen comrade. Realizing that Batman had stopped coming after them, and that Superman no longer posed a threat, Al turned to face the others. "Gowahaft!" he yelled, while pulling a small remote control device from the pocket of his lab coat, aiming it at the radar dish and pressing a button. Kaboom! Lois is the key. It's canon. I'm bringing it to the DCAU. Deep inside the dish's transmitter, the strange mechanism they had planted earlier exploded, tearing a huge chunk from the massive dish, destabilizing the 4 support platforms in the process. As flames poured from the devastated radar dish, Batman felt the platform buckle. In seconds, the Dark Knight reached the unconscious form of Superman, Ducking to avoid searing chunks of flaming debris, Batman quickly draped Superman's arm over his shoulder and lifted the Man of Steel to his feet. Glancing back, he saw the three technicians, or whatever they really were, leap from the collapsing platform without regard for what would happen when they hit the ground hundreds of feet below. Swoosh! A huge sizzling piece of metal buzzed past just above Batman's head, trailing smoke behind it. Feeling the platform about to topple, Batman leapt off, keeping a firm grip on Superman with one hand. He fired a grappling line back to the falling structure, gaining just enough tension to soften the blow as the two heroes hit the ground. Crack! The entire support platform crumbled as Batman and Superman, separated now, tumbled down a hill, away from the smoldering complex. Over and over, they rolled in a dizzying freefall, unable to stop their momentum. Slamming into a grove of trees, Batman groaned as he finally stopped tumbling. Superman crashed into a tree stump a few feet away, forcing himself up on one elbow. Batman watched incredulously as the three techs stood up in a charred, smoke-filled hole in the ground near the base of the now fallen radar platform. Their bodies were horribly mangled. One by one, the beings, who called themselves Al, Lee, and Cynthia, snapped their twisted, misshapen heads, arms, and legs back into normal human positions, brushing off their fall as if it had never happened. As the three strolled casually into the nearby woods, Al turned back toward Batman. He winked, flashed the thumbs up sign, and then disappeared with the others into the forest. Batman crawled painfully over to where Superman lay sprawled on the ground. As he reached his friend, he saw Superman's eyes flutter open. The Man of Steel sat up, grabbing his throbbing head.
What happened?
He groaned, rubbing his temples.
You tell me.
Batman replied, slowly getting to his feet. He knew that Superman was not invulnerable to all the forces of the universe, but it always took him by surprise to see the great hero toppled and suffering with pain.
I don't know,
Superman said, feeling his strength return a bit.
I saw images, another planet, some kind of attack, so intense, and then, I don't know. That's all I remember. It's as if I was attacked by the images, as if someone forced them into my mind.
Batman helped Superman to his feet, then pointed to the smoking, decimated radar dish.
Obviously, they didn't want to leave evidence behind, whoever they were. What's all this about?
Superman asked, surveying the damage.
Over the past few months, I've detected several security breaches in our global deep space monitoring network, Batman explained. Many of them could be traced to this facility, and now the destruction of the radar dish. It's pretty clear that someone doesn't want us looking up into the cosmos. Any idea who?
Superman asked.
No,
Batman replied, kneeling down to the ground, picking up a tiny piece of red, gray, and black circuitry with a pair of tweezers. He dropped the sample into a small plastic pouch, which he then tucked into his utility belt.
There's more to this than meets the eye. I'd like to stay and help you look into it, but I'm expected back in Metropolis, Superman explained. Getting another key to the city?
Batman asked, straight-faced, never one to pass up an opportunity to poke a little fun at his super-powered friend. Ignoring the remark, Superman reached into a secret pocket in his cape and pulled out it, necessarily being the case. So let's see, we have one new character, Clark Kent / Superman. I guess we got mentions in Superman's visions of like an unnamed desert on Earth and an unnamed Mars village. So, you know, I might as well add those. And then items, we got we got a signal watch, kind of like I assume similar to the one he gave Jimmy. And for in-show events, I mean, obviously this is a novelization of the show itself, but we did just get mention of the many times that Superman and Batman have fought together. How did they word that specifically? Let's see. The two great heroes had fought many battles together. And that was on page 16. I gotta imagine that means that, like, the last time that they did fight together, though, might have been before Superman created the signal watch. I'll put that in other clues. Since Superman hadn't given Batman a signal watch before their last battle together may have been before he created the first of these watches for Jimmy Olsen. Is Olsen with an E or an O? I don't remember. The sound effects are awesome. Well, thank you. Are these little details now canon to the episode? I would like to think they are. I assume that, like, a lot of the novelization stuff stems from cues in the script that might not necessarily be spoken on the episode itself. So that's the way I'm thinking of it. Oh wow, he says stream gone, stream back. Okay. So far, this seems to be more envisioned as canon with the episode than the Mad Love novelization, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, well, it was directly a tie-in book, right? Like it's got the DCAU artwork and everything on the book. It says watch Justice League on Cartoon Network, all that kind of stuff. It also said his longtime friend. Yeah. I suppose that might be worthwhile to have. Let me move those together. That way I'm not, like, stretching. There we go. His longtime friend. Yes. Superman glided gently to the platform, landing next to his longtime friend and ally. I mean, that doesn't necessarily give us, like, a... Bruce is described as Superman's longtime friend. It doesn't necessarily give us a time period to work with, but, like, we could say that's, at least a couple years. Olsen is with an E. Okay, that's what I thought. That is what I expected. Okay. So I think that is the notes for that section so far. All right. We still got like 7 pages left. That's not bad. Not even a full 7 pages. We can do this. Can't we, Superman? If you weren't here earlier, I have Superman on my wall now. He's here. I don't know. Hold on. You probably can't see him because of how small he is and how small the camera is. Superman on the wall. He was in the back of the book and we put him on the wall. Let's see. Okay, so we're in the World Assembly building now. The World Assembly building in downtown Metropolis rose proudly among the many gleaming towers of the great city skyline. Conceived as a forum where nations of the world could meet to settle conflicts through discussion and negotiation, the international organization had its fair share of problems. Getting representatives from more than 100 countries to sit down together in the same room was difficult enough. Getting them to agree on solutions to the key problems of the day seemed at times an almost impossible feat. Yet, all the delegates from the various nations did agree on one thing. The world had a better chance of surviving with the World Assembly in place than without it. A meeting of the Assembly's delegates was in session, inside the tall steel and glass structure. Just outside the building, in Freedom Plaza, long a place of public gatherings, where dissenting voices came to be heard, a group of protesters congregated to express their disagreement with the policies of the organization. Carrying homemade signs and banners reading, "Ban the bomb! We want a safe world!" and "Disarm now!" The crowd of mostly young people chanted and shouted, led by a bearded man in a stocking cap and a t-shirt that read, "Peace now." "They've stockpiled enough nuclear missiles to destroy our entire planet!" The leader shouted into a megaphone, his voice booming to the back of the crowd. "And yet they continue to build more! We demand they stop this madness!" Picking up his cue, the throng rhythmically chanted, "Stop the madness! Stop the madness!" again and again. In the large assembly hall of the 35th floor of the building, other voices were raised as well. The round hall was filled with several levels of curved desks arranged in concentric circles around a central platform. Filled nearly to capacity, the Grand Hall housed major representatives from most of the world's major powers, ambassadors, senators, and military leaders discussing the very same issues being voiced by the protesters outside. Rising to his feet, the Japanese ambassador waited a moment for the room to quiet, then spoke forcefully. "Weapons of mass destruction!" he began, the passion unmistakable in his voice. My people believe a lasting peace can only be achieved by eliminating them." "Nonsense!" boomed a voice from across the room. A tense murmur spread through the chamber. All eyes turned to a large man wearing the uniform of the U.S. Army. General stars decorated his chest. He leapt to his feet almost before the ambassador's words had finished echoing around the hall. "Those weapons are our only defense against aggression!" the general announced, pointing an accusing finger at the Japanese ambassador and scowling, his leathery skin creasing as he stared intently at his adversary. Whirling to face the general, the Japanese ambassador returned his stare. "Is this your country's official position?" he asked angrily. The ambassador had never been happy about the fact that the World Assembly was on U.S. soil, and now he found this man of war speaking for the host nation just about intolerable. "No!" came the reply from a man striding onto the hall's main platform. The tall, handsome man in his mid-40s, dressed in a conservative suit and tie, stepped up to the podium. "General Wells does not speak for our government." As everyone in the room turned to focus on the man on the podium, General Wells remained standing. "But Senator Carter!" he protested. "Only a fool would!" The senator raised his hand, quickly silencing the general's objection. J. Allen Carter had enjoyed a meteoric rise from astronaut and hero to U.S. senator, gaining a great amount of power in just 2 short years. He was not about to let a hot-headed general ruin his carefully crafted plans. "General," Carter began, "when I was an astronaut on Mars 2 years ago, I survived an experience that profoundly changed my life." General Wells reluctantly took his seat as the hall fell silent. "Looking back at Earth from the surface of another planet, I saw for the first time how small and fragile our world really is," Carter continued, opening his arms toward the assembled delegates. "I realized that its fate is in our hands, ladies and gentlemen, that is a responsibility we must not take lightly."
Sensing the hopeful tone in Carter's voice, the members of the assembly leaned forward, hanging on his every word. Therefore, he went on, speaking slowly for dramatic effect, I propose a bold new solution for peace. My plan would use a force more powerful than any before. Pausing, he nodded toward the back of the assembly hall. A force dedicated to the safety of all humankind, he said as the doors of the hall swung open. A force known to all as Superman. The assembly let out a collective gasp. When Senator Carter began speaking of a new peace solution, no one expected anything like this. The Man of Steel flew slowly into the hall, carrying a large globe in one hand and waving to the stunned delegates with the other. Looking up in awe, the diplomats followed Superman's flight as he slowly drifted to the central platform. All thoughts of their differences vanished for the moment. They were simply delighted to be in the presence of Earth's greatest hero. All except for General Wells. Carter sure has a flair for the dramatic, the general thought, rising slowly to his feet. I have to give him that, but showmanship and symbolism are not the answers. With all due respect, Senator, Wells began speaking loudly, his sharp voice slicing through the elated mood of the crowd. We can't entrust the security of the entire world to one man. Have you seen the trailer for Superman and Lois? No, I have not. Superman landed gently on the platform, placed the globe beside him, and stepped up to the microphone on the podium. I understand your feelings, General, he said, looking directly at Wells. I was reluctant to get involved when Senator Carter first approached me. But after meeting with him and his advisors, I became convinced that I could make a difference. Raising his right hand, palm facing outward, Superman appeared to be taking an oath. I fought hard over the years to earn your trust, he continued, and I solemnly swear to all of you that I will continue to uphold the ideas of truth and justice, not just for America, but for all the world. Overwhelmed by his words, the delegates leapt to their feet as one, applauding loudly, their cheers filling the hall in a resounding endorsement. Cries in many languages rang out, and shouts of "Hooray! Thank you, Superman! This is the answer to our prayers!" blended with the thunderous ovation. General Wells stared at Senator Carter, the outrage in his face met by a calm smile from the senator. Seemingly borne by the energy in the hall, Superman and Senator Carter strode from the platform, out the main doors, and into the lobby of the building, followed closely by the still cheering delegates. Gathered around the World Assembly emblem, a globe surrounded by olive branches, symbolizing peace, emblazoned on the lobby's marble floor. The ecstatic diplomats huddled around Superman, each eager to shake his hand and offer thanks. Senator Carter grasped Superman's hand firmly as flashbulbs popped into a random light show. A classic photo op for the powerful politician, an image he knew would grace the front pages of newspapers around the world. The Japanese diplomat, so hopeful during his emphatic call for the elimination of weapons worldwide, then so bitter upon hearing the unofficial response from General Wells, stepped up to Superman, bowing in gratitude. Thank you, Superman, he offered. You have brought hope to all of us. The Man of Steel respectfully returned the bow, graciously accepting the thanks. All right, and that's the end of Chapter 1. We do have quite a few things to add from here. So we've got General Wells, and we have unnamed Japanese ambassador. And then we have a couple locations. Japan is obviously mentioned. We have America as a whole. It's mentioned, but like Metropolis is in America, so might as well include it. And then there was the World Assembly building, and was it Freedom Plaza?
Yes, Freedom Plaza. World Assembly Building. Freedom Plaza. And there's a tad bit of timeline notes to make. Let's see. So, what's his name? Senator Carter reiterated that the start was 2 years ago. Where was it? Yeah, when I was an astronaut on Mars 2 years ago. So that's page 25. So I will just put also page 25 here instead of making a separate note. J. Allen Carter is said to be in his what was it, mid 40s? Handsome man in his mid 40s, yes, is in his mid 40s, and that's on page 25. Excuse me. Superman says he has fought to earn trust over the years. So I mean, he's at least been around for 2 years, one would say. Where was I fought hard over the years to earn your trust. Yeah, that's page 27. I always kind of read that interaction as a homeboy kind of being like, whoa, this alien man just kind of just did a dark side invasion at the end of his own series. Come on, why are we trusting him? Though I don't think that it fits in the timeline for that to be years ago. I feel like that's more Superman just being like, look, I know that happened, but like, look at what I've done over all of the years, kind of thing. And then there's a couple things that like aren't explicitly stated here, but I do think are worthwhile to mention. Since he is now a senator, there must have been a Senate election in the last 2 years. So that could help. That could help figure that out. But it also could be. You know, that it was just a special election or something, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, hey, V. Hey, thanks for popping in. Let's see. Am I going to read chapter 2? I mean, I'm going to read the whole book. I don't know that I'm going to read chapter 2 today. We're already like 25 minutes over. Usually we try to just do an hour every stream. And I haven't had lunch yet. It's like 1:30 almost here. So I'm probably not going to do chapter 2 today. That'll probably be a next week situation. And then let's see. The last note that I have here is it's not explicitly stated, but I feel like the Japanese ambassador's wariness about, what is it? Did it specifically say they were nukes? Stockpiled nuclear missiles, yeah. About nukes. Probably stems to lingering feelings about Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II. Like I said, that's not made explicit, but I do think that that's probably what they were going for with that situation. I could be entirely wrong and just, reading too much into the geopolitical situation here. But when you are, when you are creating a governmental body with all these nations from across the world,
I do feel like, or the writers probably would have also considered the geopolitical implications of what's going on in the real world, to kind of add a little bit of weight to, how, the way that they're portraying things. Obviously, the Hiroshima and the Nagasaki bombs weren't current when Justice League was on the air, but it certainly is something that's a big enough deal that like leaves a lasting impact. So it makes sense to me. But yeah, so I do think that that's where we're going to end today. So I will just for the end of stream plugs. If you didn't like the stream yet, go ahead and hit the like button. Like I said, hitting the like button always helps us out with the algorithm. It tells YouTube to push us into people's recommendation feeds more, because there's more interactivity with it, and YouTube sees that as a good thing because it keeps people on the platform, and they want people to stay on the platform so they can make money off of the advertisements. So hit the like button if you haven't yet, and if you have, go back to a couple of the most recent videos and hit the like buttons on those too. Why not? Just if you got like 5 minutes to kill, just do it. I will be back again on Saturday, hopefully, to follow up on the timeline streaming. I had to take last Saturday off. We've had a difficult time lately with here he is, the boy. I know, buddy. I know. I'm sorry, you were sleeping, but the people demand to see you. They've been invested in your story. Hey, here he is. We've been having a difficult time with him recently. He's been refusing to use the restroom properly, and so we've been losing sleep over that, and having to deal with waking up early in the morning to get his his pills and everything to him on schedule. And so Sissy and I didn't really have a lot of sleep last week, and it was enough to cancel the stream so I could get some rest. But the good news is he poo-pooed all by himself yesterday without the vet needing to intervene. I feel like it's probably because we gave him a much bigger dose of his laxatives that he's been on, and that probably loosened him up. But with the fact that we had been giving him laxatives for 2 weeks and it wasn't doing anything, I'm very happy to report that he's doing better. The stress is a lot less, and he's happy to see you all. Tell them, Archer. Tell them how happy you are. So we will be back for the timeline stream on Saturday, given that that everything else works out accordingly, and I don't have to be stressed over him again. And then, of course, as always, video on Sunday, and next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, streams at noon. And if you're not subscribed to the Pod Tower account yet, go ahead and do that. Because if you're thinking you might miss a stream or two, it's all going to be archived over there. For some reason, they've been really the streams kind of hurt us in the algorithm. Dance with me, Archer. The streams kind of hurt us in the algorithm a little bit if we keep them up over here, just because it's long form content that much less people interact with. Engage. I've been watching too much Thought Slime. But it's or I guess even Quentin. I think they both did Garfield Eats videos. Anyway, so we gotta whenever the streams are done, we gotta private them and then move them over to the other place. So if you miss streams, they're all archived over there. And since the stuff that we're doing is in series, whether it's the video games with Ted, or the comics with James, or the books with me, if you get invested in it and miss out, you might feel kind of alienated to try to hop back in. So that is all over there for you to peruse at your leisure. I'm just gonna
double check the rest of the chat real quick, and then say my goodbyes. Let's see. Can't wait for the next Thursday. It's gonna be a fun one. Farewell, Danny. I'ma just assume Katie, Vic, Heinrich / Cole. Is that? That's something to do with V. Okay. But yeah. Okay. So everyone's happy about Archer. But yeah. All right. Well, I will see you guys on Saturday. Take care.